I'm Heather McLean, and my passion is helping others to reconnect with the spirit of nature through the practice of gardening. I'm an artist, a mom, an author, and an avid gardener. My job for the last 20 years has been involved in the landscaping and garden design industry here in Central Texas. For the last 10 years, I've had my own business, Goodness Grows in Austin, helping families and companies create sustainable garden environments that are very personal and an expression of their own personalities. For the last 3 years, I've been involved in a project with the City of Austin called the Grow Green Program, which is an outreach, consulting, and coaching program to help the residents understand and cope with the extreme weather that we have dealt with over the last several years. We've had historic drought, we've had fires, we've had floods, we've even had sustained freezing temperatures with damaging storms. A lot of homeowners have been really perplexed and have no idea how to have a beautiful garden or landscape in this kind of climate. So the Grow Green program is an outreach program that I spend a portion of every week meeting with individuals and businesses, helping them to learn how to cope better. One of the stories I like to share was when I was called out to what here in Texas we call a small farm. It's not a ranch because it was less than 100 acres, about 90 acres. So here that's just a farm. But I went out to meet with the clients to not work with them on their productive gardens. They were very successful with feeding themselves, their animals. They had plenty of produce, but what they needed help with was beautifying the garden around their home. They wanted not only to improve the way it looked when you approached their home, but also when they looked out from to the outside, from the inside of the home. When I arrived, I realized that the house was surrounded by huge, majestic oak trees, 100 to 150 years old, and the root systems had spread throughout the soil all around the home, which was the problem. That was why plants could not compete with that root system in what an old style foundation planting would look like. So I worked with my clients, and we were fortunate that they had a wraparound porch, and we could put some large containers with blooming native perennials and grasses that would attract hummingbirds and butterflies and blow in the wind. So when they looked out from their windows, they saw something beautiful, and when their guests would arrive, they saw something beautiful, but we didn't compete with those fantastic trees that surrounded their home. When we finished with the consult, I asked my client if I could see their vegetable garden. I had noticed it as I was driving up, and it looked pretty great. So they agreed, and when we went inside, I thought I was in paradise. There was every vegetable you can imagine: tomatoes, peppers, pole beans, zucchini, even okra. And I complimented my client because it's pretty tough to grow okra in the hot Texas sun and have it look that good. And she told me that she didn't even know why she had ever grown okra, because she doesn't even like to eat it. And I said, well, that's strange. Why would you grow something that you don't like? And she told me this story. She said that when she was young, her mother would send her every evening out to the garden to pick vegetables, and one of her chores was to fill a little basket with these okra. And my client said she didn't like to wear shoes, so she would have to dodge all the fire ants and then reach up into that scratchy foliage and collect the okra until the basket was full. And she said by the time she got back home with it, she didn't want to eat it for dinner. She didn't want anything to do with okra. So I thought it was quite strange that she wanted to grow something that she had no desire to eat, and she had a bad childhood memory about it. So again, I inquired, why in the world would you want to grow this? And she told me that she'd always sort of measured her own ability as a gardener based on her mother's ability to grow okra. She thought it was traditional to have it in her garden. And for years and years she had grown okra, but could never understand why it didn't grow very tall. So finally she told me she called her mother and asked her and said, Mom, what did you do to get that okra to grow sky high when I was a little girl? And her mother thought about it for a minute and told her, well, you know, back then you were really small. My client had based her whole ability on how to grow a garden on something that wasn't true. When she was a little girl, those plants were 3 or 4 feet tall and they looked huge. As an adult woman, she looked on those plants and they looked not very impressive. So it's often easy for us to feel very impressed by what others can grow. But it's a little tougher to feel proud of what we grow ourselves. Over the years working with my clients, I've often found that they called me out because they thought they needed a better view. In truth, it turned out what they really needed was an improved point of view about the landscape of their lives. You see, each and every one of us has a special gift that we bring to the world, and that is what we are growing. Whether it is our family, or our children, or our business, or even a special creative project. What we put our attention on and put our passion into, those things that we grow are truly good. And I ask each and every one of you to just take a moment to appreciate those things that you've been able to grow. Maybe drop your judgments of what others can grow. Maybe let go of your past beliefs of what you should have grown or what you could have done. Instead, just dive into the appreciation for what you have grown, because in truth, goodness grows.